Hey gearheads, welcome back. Today we've got the final update video of the 93 Buick Roadmaster. It's the final update video because this vehicle is done for now. The owner of the vehicle, Nick, is done with the project, moving on. He's got other things in life, so he's going to be selling this one. We're going to do a whole overview of everything we did to put the 5.3 in this 93 Roadmaster, and I try to show you as much detail as I can and do a whole overview of everything we put into it. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, like I said, it's a 1993 Buick Roadmaster. The vehicle itself has 72,000 miles on it. It is leather interior. Interior is nice, not in bad shape. We got a couple pieces loose in here where he was installing the radio, but we got the motor in. It cranks right up. See the gauges, we've got 3 of them working. We got the oil pressures working, the voltage is working, and the coolant is hooked up, but it needs a resistor in line to make it read properly. So at operating temperature it actually maxes out right now. It needs a resistor in there. The gauges that need to be hooked up still is the speedometer and the tach and the check engine light. It's not hooked up, which that's 1 wire piece, both that need to be ran, so 3 more wires. The exhaust on it right now is the factory exhaust. We just took the catalytic converter off. It was pretty quiet. It still needs to be tuned for the LS2 cam that we put in it. Whenever we had the computer flashed, it was just flashed to just have the vats removed and the secondary O2s. Let's go ahead and pop the hood. For fuel, we have the Walbro 255 we put in the sending unit, the factory sending unit of the car. We just put the universal pump in there. We didn't keep the plastic fuel lines like I was talking about in the last video. We ran high pressure rubber hose up to the front, clamped it onto the quick fitting there. Wound up running the LS1 fuel rail. And what we have in here is the 5.3 with the LS2 cam in it, front cover and the cam sensor. LS6 valve springs, and the 4L60E transmission. The drive shaft, we're using the stock drive shaft. What allows us to use the stock drive shaft is that we use the 1-inch setback motor mount plates that you saw in the last video. Can't really see them anymore with everything in here now. And on the transmission cross member, at first we had moved it back 1 inch. We had to move it back a total of 2 inches though to go with the 1-inch setback adapter plates. Once you use the 1-inch setback LS motor mount adapter plates, the cross member will need to go back 2 inches. I was talking about the exhaust. Like I said, the whole exhaust was factory muffler. Took the cats off, but we were running the LS truck manifolds. There's pictures, detailed pictures of that in my last video as well, of what we did to make those fit. Angled and clocked the flanges is basically what we did. You see here in front of you, that's a truck 5.3 air filter kit from eBay, $75. Something I forgot to mention is since we ran the LS1 fuel rail, we did use the Corvette regulator filter combo. You know, the Corvette fuel filter in around 2001 had the built-in regulator. We used that to regulate our pressure since this rail doesn't have a return line or regulator. That's not a regulator, that's a dampener. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that on the high pressure, there is a high pressure fuel hose, which you'll learn the hard way if you don't use it. If you just use regular carburetor hose, that hose can take the pressure of the fuel injection. But something else is that there's a difference in hose clamps. Those are high pressure hose clamps there. They have no holes in them and the edges are rounded outwards so you don't cut into the fuel hose. It's important to know. Usually I double high pressure clamp the ends if I'm going to be doing something like this on a budget build. For fans, we ran the LS1 F-body fans. Just made some little brackets here to hold them in place. They stay in place very well. This is just the shroud. It needs a new shroud. This is the factory shroud that was here for the clutch fan. It's been cut. Probably get another one and cut it straight across. It would look better. But the fans are solid. They have not been wired in yet. That's pretty simple. Just running them to a relay. Next on the list is hoses. Got the upper hose. We wound up using a Master Pro part number 20893. And then for the bottom hose, we used a Delco part number 24111 Lima. And it didn't fit as perfect as we'd like, but it's working. And then we didn't run the heater hoses yet. So for this loop, to loop the water pump, it's Gates part number 18743. For us to be able to use the heater hoses, we'll need to move these coils, because as you can see, the coils block the heater core connections. So the coils need to be moved forward so you can get a hose back there. For the accelerator cable, we use the F-body 4th gen throttle cable. I think we had to bend the rod on the gas pedal, had to bend it up a little bit to make sure it went wide open throttle. Now for the area that I'm sure everybody's been waiting on for me to talk about is the front accessories. What we did here to run the F-body, the car intake, we had to run a different water pump. Now we're running all truck accessories here, so to make the car water pump line up, to make the pulleys line up with the truck accessories, what you normally have to do, actually let me tell you the fastest and best way and what I suggest first. You use a F-body 4th gen Camaro water pump with spacers. There's people online who sell spacers to go behind the water pump, and it'll put it out in place so your belts line up. That's the good way. The way we did it was the hard way, labor intensive. We used the F-body water pump, no spacers, and we put a truck pulley on it. That's a pain in the butt. I don't suggest it. Okay, so that's what's currently on there. But this water pump, I think, is on its last leg. So we have the spacers in the back, in the trunk, and still another F-body water pump on there with those spacers, and it'll set up just like this. So that's the water pump side of it. When you put the throttle body here with the car intake, it gets in the way of where the idler pulley would be. So you get this idler relocation pulley off eBay, and it moves it over here out of the way. And then the last thing on the list is the AC compressor over here. That is the AC compressor that came on the car. We did not open up the lines. We just moved it to the side while we were doing this. And then that bracket came off a 90s style full-size Chevy truck. I think some S10s even came with it, Vortex. We just used, probably the best way for me to explain is to show pictures. At the end of this video, I'll post up pictures of how we did this. One bolt hole in there goes into the LS head. There's a piece of the bracket we cut off the bottom of it. It used to go straight down. Made a bracket here to support that side of the AC bracket, and then one in the rear, right there. Just went down to the LS head. Like I said, I've got good detailed pictures of this. I'll post up here on the end. We haven't had any problems with the belt moving yet. We only got to drive the car 10 miles before the transmission gave up on us. Brought it back here. Owner of the vehicle is done. He doesn't have time for this project. He's got a house to worry about. So this project is done. It's going to be up for sale. I'm about to post it on Craigslist probably tonight. The belt is a 112 and a half inch. Part number K061120 is what we used. That's all I got for you, gearheads. That's the final video on the 93 Buick Roadmaster 5.3 swap. Y'all be productive and have a great weekend.